okay. It's not the worst season ever, far from it. That's mainly to grab your attention. But it is a below par season yet again, in spite of the fact that back in December and early January, it was pretty exceptional. I had probably the deepest day of my life back on the 23rd of December. And yet, here we are, coming towards the end of March. Look at it. The snowpack now is basically the same as it was at this time, the last two previous seasons. And they were really bad. Last year in particular was definitely one of the worst seasons on record, anywhere below 2,000 metres. So yeah, in spite of all that good snowfall in December and January, it still has been a very much below average season. But this is the problem with averages. Climatologically speaking, when we refer to average, referring to a 30-year rolling mean, and here in the Alps, global warming is accelerating so fast that 30-year averages are just basically redundant now. Yes, statistically speaking, they're valid, but they're really not much help in the real world. With the rate that the planet is heating up, virtually every winter is going to be below average, because the average winter was 15 years ago, and even in the last 15 years, global surface temperatures have heated up around 0.5 degrees, which in practice is a massive difference. So yeah, basically every season, every winter is going to be below par and below average if you're using the 30-year rolling mean. So it's probably more realistic to talk about a 10-year average or maybe even a 5-year average, in which case this is probably about average now. This is the new norm, unfortunately. Yes, we do still get some big snowfalls, particularly early in the season, but come mid-March, you're losing a lot of your base. A lot of the snow has gone on the lower resorts and on the lower runs. But despite all that, the season still is far from over. There's still projected to be around about another 5 weeks left to this season. We expect the season to finish the first weekend of May the 4th, Star Wars Day, up at Grand Monte. Yes, there'll be a gradual phasing out of the other areas through April, but we've still got a good 3 weeks in virtually all the ski areas left to come. Of course, Easter holiday has been quite late this year. They're going to keep as much open as they can for as long as possible. And of course, there's always the Valley Blanche and the high alpine terrain, which doesn't really come into its own into May anyway. So yeah, there's still plenty of life left in this season. What it's worth, the snow's actually quite good fun today. Yeah, it's deep slush, but this is the good slush, aka poor man's powder. Yes, it's very soft, but it's still lovely and fast. Nice granular spring snow, unlike the porridge that I had last week up at Brevant. That's largely because of that blue stuff up there. It's a less humid atmosphere today, therefore it's a less humid snowpack. The weather this week has turned out a lot better than expected. If you'd seen my forecast last week, it was looking pretty miserable, just persistent light rain all week. Whereas actually, the weather's been very much spring or early summer conditions. Pretty classic diurnal temperature and weather variations. Cold, clear, lovely blue skies first thing in the morning. Then as everything heats up, clouds build throughout the day. And then some rain in the afternoon or early evening. And yet again, same thing's happening today. It's just past lunchtime on Thursday, and we've got plenty of fair weather cloud at the moment. Nothing too threatening yet, but I expect there's going to be another rain shower in a 2 or 3 hours time. Freezing levels have remained around about 2,000 metres, so anytime there has been precipitation, the snow rain limit has been somewhere between 1,800 and 2,000. So yeah, there's not really been any meaningful accumulations of snow during the week, at least not at resort level. Up on the Valley Blanche and the high mountains, there might have been some notable accumulations, but certainly below 2,500, which is where most of the skiing is in Chamonix. There's not really been any fresh snow at all, just been a few granules here and there. But there is a bit more meaningful snow coming over the weekend. More on that in a minute. Yesterday I headed over to La Clusaz for another midweek adventure. La Clusaz is also a quite low resort, so snow conditions there are quite similar to Evasion Mont Blanc. But that said, they have managed to maintain the lower piece very, very well on what they have left of the man-made snow. So you can still ski from top to bottom in all the different sectors in La Clusaz. As we were there yesterday, up high, the snow was very, very icy, very firm. Mid-mountain was nice spring snow, lower down was just slush. But of course, that is all going to change over this weekend. La Clusaz is actually a bit like Chamonix in some ways, in that it's kind of 5 distinct separate ski areas, except it's much more interlinked than Chamonix. In theory, when the snow is good, you can actually ski across between all the different ski areas. That's not possible anymore. One of the sectors is kind of separated from all the rest now. But you can still ski across between the two main sectors of Les Aiguilles and Le Balme. Even though there's not a huge amount of snow on the lower slopes, all the links are still passable. So it turns out much of the Evasion Mont Blanc ski area is actually closing this weekend. Officially, Saint-Gervais-Megeve ski areas close the following weekend, the 6th of April. But as far as I can tell, it's only the Côte de Mille which is still open next week. Virtually everything else, Rochebrune, Mont d'Arbois, Combloux are all closing this Sunday, 6th of March, which is pretty depressing really. Megeve is a pretty prestigious and swanky ski area, and combined with Saint-Gervais, it's a big area, and yet they've not been able to stay open until the Easter holidays, which is really quite depressing. Les Contamines is open for another week. They're shutting on 13th of April. And to be honest, they could easily stay open much longer than that if they wanted to. It's a lack of customers that means that they have to close. But yeah, for the rest of the Evasion Mont Blanc ski area, it's come to a pretty abrupt end. And yeah, it's really not good news. In theory, Les Houches is scheduled to stay open until the 6th of April as well. We shall see if they actually manage it. It's looking pretty bare now there in places. Here in Brevent-Fougères, it's open for an extra week until the 13th of April. You never know, they might extend it longer again. They did last season. The Tour and Vallorcine are also closing 13th of April in theory. And as I said before, Grand Montet should stay open until the 4th of May. This is something you need to be aware of whenever you're skiing in spring, even inbounds. With the hot weather, you can get a lot of full depth wet slides. This one hasn't released all the way, it's just opened up a big glide crack. You can't actually see it very well from this angle, maybe I should have filmed this up there. But yeah, as the ground underneath heats up, it melts the snow, lubricates the base, and the whole thing can just go in one go. And you don't then just get snow, you also get rocks and trees and everything else entrained in debris. So yeah, not pleasant if you get caught in one. And wet snow is both dense and heavy, so you do get caught out and buried under a wet slide, you can literally become crushed. So yeah, not pleasant at all. And that's why this piste is now closed and will probably remain closed, because basically this whole bowl threatens this piste with wet full depth slides. Up in the high mountains, I expect there's been some great conditions on the Vallée Blanche during this week, with beautiful clear skies first thing in the morning and then a bit of fresh snow every afternoon and evening. I bet people have been finding some pretty good snow up there. But word of warning, with the increased heat, more and more crevasses are going to be opening up every day, and it's not just on the lower slopes, even up high, some crevasses will still be widening at this time of year. And word of warning, there was a fatality on the Vallée Blanche last week. A bit further afield, some of my friends are hopefully descending from the Gran Paradiso on skis as we speak. So fingers crossed, I might get an update from them before this video goes out. And as I was driving through town earlier in the day today, I saw a couple of skimo guys in full-on gear walking down the road from the direction of the Mont Blanc tunnel, and the only logical reason I can think of for them to be dressed as they were, coming from the direction they were, is that they've tried a valley floor push of Mont Blanc today, which seems very, very early to me to be attempting Mont Blanc, but maybe with the spring-like conditions, they gave it a try. So I'll certainly be keeping my eyes and ears peeled over the next few days on social media to see if anybody announces that they've done Mont Blanc recently. And as for the weather this coming week, as I've already alluded to, there is some more weather coming this weekend. There's a cold front crossing the Alps from the northwest, which is the first time in a while really, and that's going to bring, of course, a little bit of precipitation and a big drop in temperatures as well. A few days ago, it was looking like there might be a reasonable dump of snow. Currently, the forecast is only suggesting 5 to 10 centimetres, but they've been going all over the place recently, so you never know. Fingers crossed, there could be a half-decent dump of snow this weekend, particularly on Saturday. Freezing levels are coming back down towards the valley bottom. It might snow even in Chamonix town, although of course it won't last. But I'll certainly expect Sunday into Monday for there to be some nice fresh accumulations of snow on the mid and upper mountain. And then beyond that, it looks like high pressure is building in once again. Temperatures are going to rise once again. So next week at the moment is looking pretty dry, pretty sunny, and eventually probably quite warm as well. So after a day or two of quite nice powdery snow, it will very quickly return back to spring-like conditions again. So icy first thing in the morning on the piste, softening up during the day, and variable crust and crud and spring corn off pistes. Certainly right here at Brevant right now, there's very little distinction between the on and off piste snow conditions. It's all just choppy, chossy, cruddy spring corn. So as long as your skis are suitably waxed, it is quite pleasant to ski, but it's certainly not carving and it's definitely not powder. So that's about it from Chamonix for the last week of March. It's very much starting to feel like the season is winding down and drawing to a close, but actually we've still got over a month left of lift surf skiing, even more than that up on the Guy de Midi. So there's still plenty of life left in this season, but yeah, for now at least, it's definitely feeling very spring-like, very summery. But if you do still have plans to come out here over the coming weeks and you haven't yet booked your onward transfers from the airport, I'll leave the link for mountain drop-offs in the description, and you can check out the QR code here. I highly recommend using them. Other than that, of course, as always, stay safe, have fun, and tune in next time.